Hey guys, how's it going? This is Mason, and welcome to Mason Zero ASMR. Today is the final episode of the cube. As far as going through each color, we've gone through all the colors in Wooberg order and then multicolored. And today is colorless cards, so artifacts and lands. So, I hope you've all enjoyed the cube so far. Definitely let me know how you've liked it, if you think it's good and fun, if you think you would enjoy drafting it. I haven't tested it really yet. I played sealed with it once and it went alright. So, yeah, definitely let me know, and in a week or two I'll have a no-talking video of me sleeving up the cube. Hopefully get some good sounds out of that. And if you guys like, maybe I'll do some gameplay or drafting videos with it. So, without further ado, we have our cube box here. Okay, so we have our artifacts. And just like every other color, we have 7 rares. So, to start with, we have Seer's Sundial. 4 mana for an artifact with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Alright in a landfall deck, but, really fits in anywhere. Precursor Golem is 5 mana for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 3/3 Colorless Golem artifact creature tokens onto the battlefield. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery that targets only a single golem, that player copies that spell for each other golem that spell could target. Each copy targets a different golem. So there are a couple other cards in the cube, 1 or 2 others that make golems, so it's potentially good, but you get a lot of power and toughness for 5 mana. You get 9 power and 9 toughness split across 3 creatures, which is awesome. And they have an upside/downside. Long Forgotten Gohi is 3 mana for an artifact. Arcane spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Spirit creatures you control get +1/+1. Great for Spirit Tribal. There's also a few arcane spells floating around, but I think this is mostly nice for the Spirits deck. Hellvault is 3 mana for a legendary artifact. 1 mana and tap it to exile a creature you control. 7 mana and tap it to exile a creature you don't control. When it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return all cards exiled with it to the battlefield under their owner's control. Help you get rid of late game threats. Or protect your own things, potentially. Dragon Throne of Tarkir is 4 mana for a legendary artifact equipment. The equipped creature has Defender, and pay 2 and tap it. Other creatures you control gain Trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is this creature's power, and it has Equip for 3. Jar of Eyeballs is 3 mana for an artifact. Whenever a creature you control dies, put 2 eyeball counters on Jar of Eyeballs. Pay 3, tap it, and remove all eyeball counters from Jar of Eyeballs. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of eyeball counters removed this way. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So it's kind of like a anticipate that can dig deeper and keep digging. Our last rare is Stoneforge Masterwork. It's 1 mana for an equipment with equip 2. The equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. So lots of tribal in this cube, so this is a nice payoff card for tribal. Now we're into the commons and uncommons. Thought Prison, 5 mana with imprint. When it comes into play, you may have target player reveal his or her hand, choose a non-land card from it, and remove that card from the game, and it's imprinted on the artifact. Whenever a player plays a spell that shares a color or converted mana cost with the imprinted card, Thought Prison deals 2 damage to that player. So it punishes people for playing monocolored, and nice for burn on the top end. Chitinous Cloak is 3 mana for an equipment with equip for 3. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has menace. Wildfield Scarecrow is a 1/4 Scarecrow creature for 3 with Defender. Pay 2 and sacrifice it to search your library for up to 2 basic lands and put them into your hand. Shriekhorn is 1 mana and enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters on it. You can tap it and remove a counter to put target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. A nice cheap starting card for mill or self-mill. Cranial Archive is 2 mana. You can pay 2 and exile it. Target player shuffles their library, or shuffles their graveyard into their library. Draw a card. If someone's using the graveyard, or if your opponent's gaining some advantage from a graveyard being full, you can just shuffle back in. Or if you want to get some cards back, good for that too. Meteorite is 5 mana. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. It also has one of my favorite flavor texts of all time. And if I'm lying, he began. ... Thran Golem is one of our other golems. He's a 3/3 for 5, but if he is enchanted, he gets +2/+2 and flying, first strike, and trample. So he becomes pretty formidable if you enchant him. Chief of the Foundry is 3 mana for a 2/3 artifact creature construct. Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. So, artifact creature tribal, I suppose. Culling Deus, 2 mana. Tap it and sacrifice a creature to put a charge counter on it. Pay 1 and sacrifice Culling Deus and draw a card for each charge counter on it. Pilgrim's Eye is a 3 mana artifact creature Thopter. It's a 1/1 with flying. And when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Sickle Slicer is a 3 mana equipment with a living weapon. So when it enters the battlefield, you put it on a 0/0 black germ creature token. The equipped creature gets +2/+2, and it has equip for 4. Slab Hammer is a 2 mana equipment with equip 2. When the equipped creature attacks, you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. If you do, the creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So it helps you do landfall by replaying lands, and buffs up the creature when it attacks. Seer's Lantern, 3 mana. Tap to add Colorless to your mana pool. Pay 2 and tap it to scry 1. I liked this card very much in the Gatewatch Draft and Sealed. Burnished Heart is 3 mana for a 2/2 artifact creature Elk. Pay 3 and sacrifice it to search your library for up to 2 basic lands and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Staple card in Commander. Opaline Unicorn, 3 mana for a 1/2 unicorn. tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So some mana fixing and artifact. Colorless. Terrarian, which was just reprinted in Eldritch Moon for some reason, after last being in original Ravnica, I believe. So an interesting reprint for an underwhelming card, but interesting anyways. It's 1 mana, enters the battlefield tapped, pay 2, tap it, and sacrifice it to add 2 mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool. So it's color fixing, just filters through the colors. When it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Deserter's Quarters is 2 mana. You may choose not to untap it during your untap step. Pay 6 and tap it to tap target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's untap step for as long as Deserter's Quarters remains tapped. So, knock out one of your opponent's creatures for 6 mana. Heartpiercer Bow is 2 mana for equipment. Whenever equipped creature attacks, Heartpiercer Bow deals 1 damage to target creature defending player controls. It has equipped for 1. So that's all of our artifacts. Obviously not as much of them as every other color, but a decent amount to help support some strategies, and you can get some good ones for blue-red artifacts. Now we have lands. We have all 10 of the Cons of Tarkir and Fate Reforged tap lands that come untapped and gain you a life. We have the 5 Oath of the Gatewatch lands that come untapped. And then we have the 5 Shadows over Innistrad lands that come untapped. So you've got 2 different options for dual lands. You got both. You could potentially get both. So if you're playing white-green, you could get Blossoming Sands and Tranquil Expanse for some fixing. So try to include more than one option. And then we have the 5 Tri-lands for the Tarkir clans. Frontier Bivouac, Mystic Monastery, Opulent Palace, Nomad Outpost, and Sandstep Citadel. I like 3-color decks in Draft and Sealed, so having those around is nice. At some point maybe I'll get the Shards of Alara Tri-lands, as well as the Shards of Alara, or the Alara Charms, so I can have those other 3-color combinations, like Bant and Esper and stuff. And then we have 5 utility lands, or non-basic, or not non-basic, but non-normal. We have our only rare land, which is Paliano, the High City, which is a great draft card. It's a legendary land. You reveal it as you draft it. The player to your right chooses a color, you choose another color, and the player to your left chooses a 3rd color. And then you can tap it to add 1 mana to your mana pool of any color chosen as you drafted it. To move the Spirit Dragon, tap it to add 1 colorless to your mana pool. Pay 2 and tap it, and you gain 1 life for each colorless creature you control. So if you're doing artifacts, that's nice. Foundry of the Consuls, taps for a colorless, pay 5 and tap it, and sacrifice it, and you get 2 Thopter tokens with flying. Haunted Fengraf, tap it to add a colorless to your mana pool, pay 3 and tap it, and sacrifice it. Return a creature at random from your graveyard to your hand. And finally, just good old Evolving Wilds. Tap it and sacrifice it to search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped. So nothing too crazy in the lands, no fetch lands and shock lands and stuff. This is a budget cube, don't even have any of the rare lands from any sets, because those are usually worth over $1, usually a couple bucks. I don't have them all, so just have the basic ones, which works just fine. I love multicolored, so I wanted to have plenty of options for building a 3-color deck. Anyways, that is the whole cube. You've seen it all now, all the way from white down to colorless and land. So, I hope you enjoyed these videos. Let me know in the comments what you think. What was your favorite card in it? What archetype would you want to build? What deck would you be excited for? You'd be making elves, you're making artifacts, warriors, flashback. There's a lot of options. So let me know what you would draft if given the option. And come draft with me. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you all are nice and relaxed now. So sleep well, and I will see you guys in the next video.